no choice. All the girls and boys making all that noise because they found new toys. Well, we can't salute you. Can't find a flag. If that don't suit you, that's a drag. School's out for summer. School's out forever. School's been blown to pieces. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, ushering in spring like nobody's business. Here we are. What's going on?
Well, doing great as always.
Yeah.
Back from Florida, where I was last week.
Yeah. Pitchers and catchers reported, and now you did too, and
right.
all is good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, second round of cuts were made yesterday.
I see you're back home, so you must have got the axe.
Pretty much. Yeah, I was sent home right away. I have to ask a question to start, though.
Okay.
What did the casket say to the other casket?
I don't know.
Is that you coughing? Oh, come on. I had to start with a joke. I mean, I had to start with something.
Well, okay.
The subject matter we're going to get into, you obviously alluded to in there. And when you told me beforehand, because, we Jay and I do a lot of prep, and we do a lot of show prep before we actually go on, even though
we are professionals here.
Much of it is still spontaneous on the show.
Yes.
I didn't know where you were going with the song. I had a song in my head that maybe I was thinking of Smoking in the Boys' Room. That maybe you'd say, smoking ain't allowed in school. Now, I
give me something for a future episode.
Okay.
That's.
So, and I don't have, of course, that song sounds familiar to me. Okay, now I know this is what, show 106?
Yeah, something like that.
Something 116, 107, doesn't matter. It's the 3 digits now. So once again, you have to enlighten us musically illiterate people who has graced us with our song title today.
Wow. I thought you'd get that one for sure. I thought you were going to put together like maybe like a Minnesota Wild type run. I mean, it's these Minnesota Twins runs of one and done.
Yeah. I'll lose in a 5-game series anytime here. So, who did I miss here? Am I going to smack myself in the head?
Probably. But he would too. So he made a living out of it.
Oh, don't tell me.
Okay.
Smacking himself in the head?
Well, I mean, not exactly, but things of that nature, yes.
Boy, in the rock and roll world, that doesn't narrow it down. The only guy I can think of is Ozzy Osbourne.
Close.
Really? How close?
Pretty close.
All right, lay it on me.
Alice Cooper.
Ah! God.
School's out, Alice Cooper. I thought you were going to be able to pull it together.
School's out and it's poison. Right?
Right.
Poison. My lasting memory of Alice Cooper is at WrestleMania 3. I mean, that's my lasting memory of Alice Cooper.
Really?
When he was out there with Jake the Snake. Speaking of wrestling.
Yes.
I want to mention 2 things real quick. We lost. Why is it when we do the show, every couple of weeks we seem to have famous deaths that we talk about?
Yeah,
I've noticed that lately, that people are just kind of dropping left and right. I mean, obviously when President Bush passed away a few months ago, we spent some time talking about him and remarking, we can't believe how long it's been since he was president. And, my memory of Dana Carvey impersonating him and all that. But we lost another wrestler last week, a guy who gave me nightmares as a kid, I have to admit. King Kong Bundy has left us.
I saw that.
Tender age of 61. He actually did a stand-up routine.
Really?
And he rarely did shoot interviews, but he's one of the best. I really enjoyed listening to his shoot interviews. If you ever see them for RF video, you're able to download them. I can't remember who the host is. Some Sean guy who hosts a lot of these things is very good. And if you ever get a chance to listen to King Kong Bundy's version of WrestleMania 2, it's entertaining.
Really?
Hulk Hogan, and entertaining to listen to. And he did do a stand-up comedy routine. He was pretty darn funny, believe it or not.
Wow.
Mick Foley does one. He's really good at it too.
Huh.
And they kind of just tell wrestling stories, but it's a lot of fun. And also, I have to say, somebody else passed away last week.
Oh.
Luke Perry passed away.
I saw that as well. I never watched 90210.
I never watched 90103 either. I mean, I knew of the show, and I think I probably watched a couple of episodes early on, but he had kind of, it's a weird feeling when people you grew up watching, and he was older than I thought he was. You know, he was in his 20s on the show,
Right.
and even though he portrayed somebody who was 18 or 19 or whatever, but 52 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, that's just, and I understand, back in the day when I was a teenage heartthrob, I mean, I understand what that's all about, when I was part of my boy band. And so, it's a tough world to live in, isn't it?
Times are tough being a rock and roll star. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, he was on a TV show that my wife and I binge watched recently.
Yeah.
The name's been escaping me. Oh, she'd be mad at me. Riverdale. And he
Riverdale. Is that like River Dance? Or
I don't know. I think it's a Netflix series or something. One of those.
Is it like Archie and that they went to Riverdale High? Is that what it was?
Archie.
Like,
he was Archie's dad.
Jughead.
Jughead. Yeah, he's in there too.
Oh boy.
So
I have not seen that, but okay.
But I'd recommend it. Although I wonder when these kids go to school. It's like watching 13 Reasons Why. They're never in class. They're always scheming and scamming.
Hey, school's out.
That's right. School's out. But we lose more. You lose people all the time. But I mean, the older I get, the older I think old is.
Yeah,
so
I would agree with
I'm
that.
42. He was 52. That's a little close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
sure is.
so it kind of gives you. I haven't had a midlife crisis yet. I don't think.
Right.
But you never know when one's around the corner. So. Luke Perry, King Kong Bundy, rest in peace, gentlemen.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
even if King Kong Bundy gave me nightmares, I forgive him.
Yeah. He didn't say a whole lot. He left most of it to Bobby.
Didn't have
Heenan,
to.
So
Wrestlers are a certain size; they don't have to say.
That's true. That's true.
Andre the Giant, you could never understand a word he said, but he didn't have to say anything.
Right.
When your hands can fit around a door, then it's,
around a door.
So I do know one fact about Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
From Gorilla Monsoon, the late Gorilla Monsoon, who was a wrestler and a commentator.
Yep.
That Gorilla I don't think I've mentioned this on the air. Gorilla Monsoon had a silver dollar in his pocket, and he took Andre the Giant's ring and passed the silver dollar through his ring.
Wow.
So that was his fingers. So, pretty big.
Yeah, those are some big old sausages.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
school's out. Actually, it's not out, but it might as well
should be.
It should be. It's and anytime, Jay, we've done a lot of shows over the past couple of years, and we have not done enough shows on education. It is a
true.
local thing as much as counties, as much as cities, as much as watersheds and Met councils and everything we harp on week after week after week.
Right, and and that's the thing. I mean, it's really easy to talk about city councils. Schools are kind of shrouded in mystery a little bit, or a lot of it, depending on what you're talking about.
They're their own animals.
They are. They're more difficult to win those races, I think, because they're at large for the most part, and you're fighting the unions a lot when you have those races, and just they're. As much as we talk about city councils being the less sexy races, school boards, I would say even more so.
Yeah, and I would add that school boards are also limited in a lot of what they can and can't do, much more so than a county board or a city council is. The state and federal governments have come in and taken away a lot of their options that they had. So, I mean, having said that, school boards still have to be held accountable for things where they might as well pack up and go home. I mean, it's, I can't blame everything on them, but that doesn't, look.
They have plenty of blame that we can throw around, though.
Look, and we'll get into this here in a second.
Okay.
But I'm a Cooper graduate.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very passionate about education. I think education in this country is sad. I think it's I can't put the right adjective on it because I'm going to get riled up quickly. Because to me the sadness of it is today these kids we're supposed to be giving kids the tools to be successful adults. Okay? Colleges are supposed to be doing the same. Colleges have become places that I'm embarrassed by in this country. There's no free speech on college campuses. There's nothing but conformity on college campuses. Brainwashing is very much there. You're learning, economics from people who've never held a private sector job, and it's kind of like, well, where's the education, quote unquote, in that?
You're going and you have all these kids who are majoring in fill-in-the-blank studies versus something that's applicable.
African American studies. Then they get out of college and they've got $100,000 in debt and they're working as waiters.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I think what's happened is just I can't even wrap my head around it. And I'll say this. When I went to Cooper High School, I went to Hosterman Junior High, Lincoln Elementary. I'm going way back now into the early 80s here. I thought I learned fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't think I learned well at all. I've been a business owner. I've been, we're business owners here.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you now, one day in a public school prepared me to own a business.
Oh, no. The schools train you to go to college. College trains you to get a job.
Right, but that's
how it works.
That's the opposite of the entrepreneurial spirit of America's founding.
Oh, exactly. I mean, 90% of America used to be entrepreneurs or business owners. If you think that entrepreneur is too trendy sounding, but I mean that's basically all you're saying. Entrepreneurs are business owners. 90% of the population used to be business owners. 10% worked for somebody else. It's been flipped on its head where we have 10%, and maybe there's an uptick recently because it's kind of become a popular thing again. But I
think the internet's opened up avenues for that.
It has, and some of them are super legitimate businesses, and some of them are not.
Let your imaginations go on that.
I have an Etsy store and I sell $10 worth of goods a year. You're not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. We are business owners, and all of the decisions that I make every day, get a hold of this person, set this up, how do we work our business strategy, writing a business plan.
How do you arrive at a price to charge?
Oh, yeah, all of those things. I hate to say we're making it up as we go along. That's not it.
Trial and error.
It's trial and error. There's a lot of thought and learning from our mistakes as we go. No thanks at all to public education. And I thought that I went to a fairly decent public school up in Proctor, next to Duluth, and I still have no idea,
And I'll say this, too. I did take in high school some accounting and business law. I did take those things in college, but I didn't have to.
Right.
And we'll get into this in a minute, but kids graduating, what's on that high school diploma?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because this is going to do, because again, we're professionals here, but we do wing some things here. You want to talk about graduation standards first, or are we going to get into Robbinsdale's? We're going to go on. Robbinsdale School District, I can tell you, are not fans of the show.
Yeah.
But we're going to lay out a little fun. I don't want to call it fun.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of sad about some of the things they're doing, and statewide too, and see where we're at education-wise.
Let's start statewide, and let's bring it down into like a microcosm so that people can see what goes on at that level.
Okay, so you want to know what it takes to graduate from high school. Now, Jay...
fogging a mirror.
Well, I mean, you and I Jay.
Yeah.
We are local government gurus.
Yes.
We're local government supporters, local government, working from the ground up. But let me tell you something about a high school diploma. The Minnesota Constitution requires a system of schools. It doesn't say how it's supposed to look.
Right.
But a uniform system of schools, I think, is the exact wording.
Yes.
And to me, there has to be, while I think districts need to have a lot of leeway in what they do, if they want to specialize, whatever, because you and I are all about freedom of choice.
Mm-hmm.
That high school diploma's got to mean something. I mean, I used to hire people for a living, or partly, and if they had said they had a high school education, or a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree, or whatever, in my mind, there were certain things I thought they should know and certain standards. So don't you have to have some sort of unified common denominators, if you want to call them that every high school graduate needs to know? I mean, aren't there some things that are just that high school diploma? It can't be, I went to Anoka High School or I went to Park Center, and they're two different worlds. I mean,
right.
It's got to be, there's got to be something there that is understood and to be, universal.
Yeah, I don't think that you have to have everybody have a calculus course to graduate, but I think that there needs to be a certain level of math proficiency. I believe that you need to have a certain level of understanding of the world around you, geography, civics. Okay,
now I got to stop you there.
Yeah,
there's a difference between taking a class on geography.
Oh, I know.
And being proficient in it.
Right.
So
I agree with that.
Which is another issue. So go ahead.
I'm just giving some examples. But yeah, whether it's science or I think you need to be well-rounded and you need to do something with the arts, whether it's appreciation or participation, in creation of things. I think that study halls are kind of a waste of time. I say that as someone who didn't take any until, was it my junior year or my senior year?
Well, that was nap time for me.
Yeah, my senior year, half of the year I had 2 study halls. The other half I had 3 study halls.
3 study halls. No wonder you said you thought you got a good education up in Providence.
Hey, I worked hard up till that point. But I worked hard during those study halls. I went to the band room, and I knew I was going to be in music, so I practiced guitar. So you
used them almost as electives. Can you almost call it that? You didn't go take a nap?
No.
Or,
No, I went and I practiced music for 2 to 3 hours, yeah. So...
Tooting your horn. You went to go toot your horn.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, let me tell you what the Now, I'm getting this from the Minnesota Department of Education. Okay, it's called Graduation Requirements.
Yep, and the website address is kind of long, so just
Google graduation
graduation requirements, state of Minnesota or whatever, and it'll lead you right there.
Okay, now here are the course credit requirements.
Okay.
Students must complete a minimum of 25 and a half course. What's a half a credit? What's that? A French work week? What is that?
It's like half a year,
credit?
I guess.
So a semester is a half?
I think so. Well,
because when I was in school,
maybe not.
A credit was a semester.
Maybe that's true. I suppose that would be true because if you take a...
So you only need 21 and a half credits in 4 years. That don't seem right.
21 and a half. If you're taking... I used to
8 semesters.
I used to take 7, we had 7 periods a day. So if you figure that out, I mean, you would have that done in 3 years.
You'd have that done in 2 years. 6 each semester?
Oh, each semester. Some of them, I don't know, was a full year class 2 credits? Like math class?
No, I don't know, because what I remember is, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
We'd take world history 1 semester, for social studies.
Yeah.
And I would take, geography in the next semester.
Okay.
They were each 1 credit, if I remember right now. Again, you and I are going back a ways. That's what I remember it being. Is it different today?
I don't know.
Because, I'm looking at this. Okay, look at the social studies requirement. 3.5 credits. Again, I don't know if that's a French work week. I don't know what that is. Including U.S. history, geography, government and citizenship, world history, and economics. How can you fit all that in 3.5 credits?
I have no idea.
Well,
you can't.
World history we're going to fit in.
Yeah.
You know how long world history is?
Well, are they talking about the Mel Brooks movie, The History of the World, or they're talking
show
about
Gladiator or something? I don't know. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I don't know what they show. But, you could economics. I've always harped on that being the worst taught subject. Macro and microeconomics alone are such different things. You can't just toss economics into one bucket and say, we're going to teach everybody the supply and demand curve, which most people don't know about anyway. And, we'll talk a little, macro and micro are 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing. I remember being in economics class, and I remember learning about macroeconomics and microeconomics. I learned about playing the stock market. I learned about the supply and demand and all that stuff. But you know what I think that they need to add to that? They need to make people read Adam Smith.
Yes.
And they need to make people read the Communist Manifesto, and they really need to understand the difference, because today we don't understand the difference in the different economic theories, and that's why socialism is so popular with our young people right now, because they just think that it's getting free stuff, and they don't understand the repercussions that come along with that.
Let me get back to that in a second, but I'm going to go on here.
Okay.
4 credits of language arts. Is that English class?
Yes.
So that's literature, writing.
I think so. I think they call foreign languages foreign language. I think language arts is composition, comprehension, writing, all of that stuff.
3 credits of science, basically. Biology is basically really the furthest you have to go, it seems like. Although it says the graduating class of 2015 and beyond must complete a chemistry, physics, or a career and technology credit as part of the 3. I don't know what that means. Doesn't matter. 1 credit in the arts. I'm going to assume that's arts.
Yep.
Okay.
Art, music, any of that.
Okay, foreign language. Would that where would that fall under? Is that an elective?
I think that's a good question, because
if I remember right, when I was growing up, when I was in school, that was an elective. I took Spanish.
It was an
for 3
elective,
years.
but you had to take a certain amount of it because colleges require it.
Back then they did. Do they still do that?
I believe they do, yeah.
All right. Okay, and then 7 electives, which is very undefined here.
I would say shop, but they don't have shop anymore.
I was just going to say.
And they don't have home ec anymore.
I was going to say.
I'm trying to remember some of the electives that my kids had taken at Cooper. Create your own video game. They did have an entrepreneur class. But
how about Phi Ed? Where's Phi Ed?
Phi Ed would be, that's a good question. Why is that not in the list?
Anymore?
They still have it.
Pound kids we have.
They still have it up through 10th grade.
Okay,
as far as I know.
Okay. But what category would that fall under?
I don't know. You can choose it as an elective, like weightlifting or things like that, when you get into 11th and 12th grade.
I have no comment on that. As whether as a football player I took weightlifting. I had to do it anyway. So
yeah.
So, but make your own video game.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I remember as elective, that's when later, I want to say a language was an elective. I took it through my junior year. I didn't take Spanish as a senior.
Okay.
By the time I was expected to talk about it in conversation, I didn't want to take it anymore, because I was very good at understanding a language if it was written down.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody said, yo hablo the escucho in the baño, I could write that down and figure out what that was.
Right.
When you and I, it's very different when you and I are talking and they're talking a million miles a minute.
I know.
And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Can you write that down and let me sound it out?
Yeah, because I can read French really well. I comprehend it not so well. I have a number of friends that have moved here from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And we speak in French regularly, and I'm like,
an old French colony.
yeah, and I'm like, je ne comprends pas, pardon. And I asked them to speak slowly, lentement, s'il vous plaît. And
I have to say, no rapido.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, Jay, with the global economy and all that, a second language is probably 10 times as important now as it was when you and I were.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how many times do you call up? How many times do you see? I see a lot of job openings where, hey, if you can speak another language, boy,
yeah,
you got a real leg up in that job.
Oh yeah. But just for those of you that are out there and like studying online or something like that, make it something useful. Yeah. Don't learn Mongolian or
practical. Make it practical.
Right. Yeah. And for those of you that use apps like Duolingo, Klingon probably does not work for jobs. You want to make it practical.
You mentioned shop. Is it any wonder why we don't pump out engineers and carpenters and electricians anymore? How about, and this kind of goes under economics, and I wanted to come back to it. How about money management? How many people graduate from high school do you think can explain how a loan works? You'll be signing them in your life.
Right.
How many of them can explain how to save for retirement? No. How many of them can explain a health savings account? How many of them can understand a capital gains tax or deductions on your paycheck, how to fill out your taxes? I mean, you talk about...
That's important.
Yeah, but you talk about practical... I guarantee you, every single person who graduates from high school, even those who don't graduate, are going to work, pay rent, take out loans to buy a car or a boat or... whatever, sex toys, I don't care what it is. And they're going to, you talk about, I mean, remember the downturn in the housing and the big deal about, people are signing loans they don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they understand them?
Because they weren't taught.
They don't have any idea what they're signing.
Yeah. So
it all goes back to how do you, I mean, and I know checkbooks are kind of a thing of the past. I still have one, but I mean, is there, making a budget for a month. What class do you do that in?
Yeah. I imagine some of that stuff goes into microeconomics, but not nearly enough.
Do they take macro and micro separately in high school, or is that a college thing?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. So I mean, it's just that's what it takes to graduate. 3 credits of math, by the way, too, including algebra, geometry, statistics, and an algebra 2 credit requirement. So no trigonometry, no anything like that. I took that in high school. Unfortunately, it wasn't fun.
I did not take that.
It cost me the A honor roll.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, we don't make it overly tough, I don't think.
Right.
And remember, you can graduate with a D- average. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You don't want to, but I mean, how many jobs ask for your GPA? Ever had a job ask for your GPA before?
Maybe college GPA, but not
colleges.
High school.
Yes, but high school, no.
No.
So you can having that diploma means you could have gotten a D in everything.
Right.
So
good luck getting into a college. I mean,
right.
Well, except for like maybe Hennepin Tech or something like that.
And remember, back in the day, if you had bad grades, you had to take what we used to call bonehead classes.
Yeah.
You had to take them, but you didn't get credit for them.
Right.
I don't think they have that anymore, or they don't call it bonehead.
No, they try to mainstream everybody.
Yeah, right. They've got everybody in a pot now.
Yeah.
They don't have the high class, the low class, the bonehead class, as we used to call
No, and as a teacher, you get penalized as well. I know
you
this.
as a former teacher here. I mean,
I know. I mean, I had taught band and music appreciation for a bit, a couple of years in southeast Minneapolis, and I remember I had kids that just refused to do any of the work for music appreciation, and I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to turn in a single assignment. I'm going to cause trouble in the class, so my attitude's going to stink. This and that. I heard back from administration I was failing too many people and that I couldn't do that. But none of them had done a single thing to earn anything other than an F.
So in the real world, remember, everything is a learned behavior. You know, I can do nothing and somebody will pass me. I can do nothing and you know, how do you prepare kids for the real world if they're basically telling you to fake grades. I mean, is that out of bounds to say?
That's not out of bounds at all to say.
Huh.
You know, I was not allowed to fail people who did nothing.
Jay, I'll tell you, one of the greatest decisions you made was to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
We're
nothing against the kids, although there were enough troublemaker kids.
I'm sure there were great ones too.
Those administrators.
That I believe. That I believe. Speaking of administrators.
Yes.
Jay, I want to bring this home here. We'll go back to the state stuff in a second because we got some stats to share with you. And look, I mean, we're going to get into this. Stick with us on this, okay? Because we could look at any district in the state. We could look at a million. We could break it down 150 million ways. We're just going to give you, again, the 30,000-foot view of something, okay? Because one of the things I've noticed about school districts is they all come out. I don't know why. I don't know if this is the trendy thing to do or the new superintendent comes in. They feel like they have to, quote, unquote, it's kind of like a new coach at a football team. They have to change something or do something or, you know, bring in their own people. I mean, whatever. They all come up with these plans, I hate to call it a 5-year plan because I associate that with Stalin, okay, and Mao, okay, but they come up with some, I hate to call it district talking points because I view it like a talking points memo. You know, we're going to have these 5 vague statements that really don't mean anything, but they have all the words in them that all the educrats and the soccer moms all love.
Right.
College readiness and kindergarten proficiency or whatever you want to say. You know, engaging the community and all that, all that fun stuff. Well, right. District 281, and I remember this, and I can't find it now, but they had back when the referendum failed in 2007, which both of us to a certain extent remember that were involved in.
Yes.
And then passed after that. District 281 came up with some strategery plans. And I don't remember what they were, but they were the usual. At least the district was doing something. I mean, they weren't doing anything before that, but you know, there was a whole hey, wait a minute moment when that referendum failed. Yeah. That you know we got to change some stuff around here. And in 2013, when we had a different superintendent, this was Aldo Ciccoli was still the superintendent then. Yeah. The 5-year plan had run out by then. And there was nothing from the district of how they did or what the results were. I mean, go looking for it, ain't going to find it. I'm sorry, you just ain't. Okay, I know that's bad English, but we're talking about whether people are getting educated or not. So I'm gonna speak good and not gooder. Okay. So they came up, and I have to say something, too. You and I were very on top of this back originally.
Right.
If you want to go to Community Solutions website CommunitySolutionsMN.com.
That's COMM Solutions MN.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Or something. I actually wrote an article on this.
Back in 2014?
2014.
So a little search window, or you can Google it.
Right.
District 281 to focus on academic achievement.
Yeah, March 28th, 2014. The district, that was the day the district decided they'd focus on academic achievement. Now,
good.
I actually had this as kind of a I don't know if you want to call it a parody. I mean, I was half mocking this and half being serious. But Superintendent Sicoli wrote something in the Sun Post. Quote, new strategic plan focuses on academic excellence. Now, I thought to myself, wait a minute. What were you focusing on before that? I mean, isn't that a legitimate question? I mean,
I think so.
Okay, we're now going to focus on academic achievement. Well, wonderful. Well, what were you doing? Were you smoking in the boys' room before that? I mean, what were you doing? Now, on ardale.org, so you can read that. It's Sicoli's comments. But if you go to ardale.org, they've got a whole thing on the history of our unified district vision.
Oh, yes.
This took, okay, and the district vision is basically 4 feel-good statements, if you want to say. This took a year to develop. So an entire school year went by. Kids graduated. Kindergartners entered the school district while they were still figuring out what they were going to focus on over the next 5 years.
Right.
So think about that for a second.
Before we talk about the history, do we want to read the points, the 4 points, the 4 key goals, or do we want to?
Yeah, we'll read Wilson's 14 points. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. And I quote, unified district vision consists of 4 key goals.
Now remember, this took a year to come up with.
Yes. This is important stuff. Number 1.
All right, I'll stop laughing.
Number 1. Should I start at number 4 and work back like Casey Kasem? All right.
Yeah, is that
4.
David Letterman? It's like David Letterman? Yeah.
Engage and empower students by amplifying student voice.
Okay.
That means that
I don't know what that means.
the inmates rule the asylum, I guess. Don't shut down the students. Let them talk. Let them swear. Let them yell at you. Let them do what they're going to do. Let them
give them their own Facebook page. I don't know what that
I don't know.
What is student voice? I mean, funny, when I was a kid, my parents never amplified my voice around the house.
Yeah.
It was always do what we tell you, or you can we'll take your Nintendo. And my dad would have loved to have thrown that in the air and smashed that with a baseball bat.
Don't you talk back to me.
Yeah. Mouth washed out with soap.
I think it's partially that. I think it's also in a lot of their assignments, they ask for the student's perspective on what they've gone through. It's more of that touchy-feely crap where it's, explain your story as it pertains to what you just read.
Okay, so I'm in math class. I'm sitting in algebra.
Yeah.
And I'm telling, where I'm supposed to learn what x equals 3 times.
Yeah.
And instead we're focusing on, you were separated at birth from your Siamese twin. How did that make you feel? And what drugs did you take, that helped you get through that? Do you think you're a gay or straight or something? I mean, is that what we're doing?
I don't know about a math class, but that's definitely going on somewhere.
Yeah.
Humanities type classes, social sciences, art, I'm sure has some degree of something.
And look, students need to be able to, kids need to be able to have a venues where they can freely and openly talk.
Yes.
However, there are things they need to know and need to learn.
Right.
And there are times where they need to shut up and do their work, period.
Right. And I think it's used a lot more like in literature type classes. You just read this story and how did it make you feel when so-and-so did this and that, and how does that relate to your experience?
That's funny. When I read Romeo and Juliet, nobody asked me what I thought.
No.
It's like, you read it, and if you can't, go buy the Cleland notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you can't tell me what went on in that story, I know you didn't read it.
Yeah, no kidding. I read A Midsummer Night's Dream in college. That was worse.
Oh.
I don't know. Worse was the movie. Oh. That was worse.
I don't know if I saw that. I remember having to read the Odyssey and then the Iliad, and that was just, that's long.
Yeah, why couldn't they bring in a Tom Clancy book or something?
There we go.
You could have read a book like that, learned a lot about our government.
Yeah.
Learned to solve mysteries and problems, had suspense and things like that. I mean, read Hunt for Red October in junior high, and think of how much better that would have been than reading, Who Threw Up on the Cat Last Month or whatever they had in there. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, I don't know what they read.
Well, the problem is, and you know this as well as I do because we had it in the local lowdown a couple weeks ago with the Duluth Public School District.
Well, that's right.
Tom Clancy books aren't written by a woman.
Well, that's right. We need to have diversity.
You got to have diversity.
He was a rich white guy. He was a Republican. That's not good.
No.
So, can't have that.
Can't have that. Okay, number 3. Engage family and community members as partners. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you something. I don't know how they define community partner. I mean, I don't know what, are those nonprofits? Are those Girl Scouts? Are those VFWs? Are those...
well, there's the PTO organizations, or PTA, depending on your school
True,
district.
but that's not necessarily separate from the school district.
No, but you're engaging the families.
I thought we called that conferences. I'm just saying.
Well, I know that Robbinsdale Schools just started something where when there's a snow day or there's a day when kids are unexpectedly home, they're expected to do e-learning or they're expected to do some sort of set of tasks that is supposed to help them learn on those days now. And then they sign off on that.
What about the kids who are so poor they don't have a computer? Is that discrimination against them?
I don't know. Could be.
Interesting that we bring that up because that's the kind of thing when I was a kid, I did that in the Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
I can remember going under the hood of a car and I had a checklist. My dad and we had to, that was where I learned all my stuff, camping and just all the, the manly stuff.
As an Eagle Scout, I'd say I learned way more through Scouts about like real life kind of stuff. I mean,
you have
music classes excluded, but
you have to learn factual stuff too.
Oh yeah,
there's that. Okay,
absolutely.
So we're going to engage I don't know why the parents weren't engaged before. You'd think that'd be. I guess there's always room to improve, but I don't know. That's a two-way street, and I don't know. I just can't stress this enough. This took a year to come up with.
Right.
Okay. Now, what's point number?
Number 2. Utilize culturally responsive teaching and personalized learning for all students. So that's where you bring in stuff about their lineage, where they came from.
Okay.
That is where you bring in the 125,000 genders that you can be. That's where you bring in,
Sitting Bull to talk about?
Let's teach everybody about everything but Christianity. Let's,
So that is their code language for multiculturalism.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And then number 1.
The number 1 on the countdown from Casey Kasem.
This took a year to come up with these. Implement policies and practices that open pathways to academic excellence for all students.
Wow. So those doors must have been closed.
Yeah, they must have been.
Before that.
Yeah.
So there you have it. I mean, there's... Now I want to talk a little bit about how this was formed. Jay, this is the classic outcome was predetermined from a district point of view.
Yes.
We talk about government putting together committees and blah, 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 and stacking it with certain people designed to get a certain outcome. This started in 2013 with a steering committee. Now, we know what a steering committee is.
Yes, we do.
They want to take a bigger group in a certain direction.
Yes.
Guess who was made up, without looking?
Okay.
I know you're peeking over there. Who was on this committee? Who got their graces into this steering committee to come up with the unified district vision?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say RFT.
The president of RFT, yes, the Robbinsdale Federation of Teachers, their union president. If it's still the same guy, he's got a ponytail.
It's not Dewar anymore, is it?
No. That's the state.
Education.
It's Peter Eckhoff used to be the RFT. I don't know if he still is, but he had a ponytail.
Huh.
That's what I remember. He had a ponytail.
I'm going to say the superintendent was on it.
The superintendent was on it.
Okay. I am going to say that Patsy Green was on it.
Okay. Be more general.
Oh, more general. Okay. They had school board members on it.
2 school board members on it.
Okay.
You're 3 for 3, Jay. The Twins would cut you.
Wow. They would trade me to somebody.
Trade you for a guy who goes 0 for 20. Okay, I'll just say it. So
teachers.
Okay, actually, 1 teacher. Yes.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So we've so far have 0 people from the general public. Zero parents, which would fit one of their points, by the way.
Okay, and there are 0 parents and 0 members of the community.
Yes.
So they create a steering committee, and one of the things they come out with is engaging the community, but there's no community members on it.
Okay, that's amazing.
Here's the rest of them.
Okay.
2 administrators.
Oh, of course.
2 principals.
Aren't principals administrators?
No, technically, administration would be the finance person,
But don't you have to go get an administrator degree to be a principal?
You might, but in 281, principals have their own contracts. Administration has its own. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. Maybe it's only in big districts.
Yeah.
We'll call it 2 members of administration, 2 principals, 1 teacher, which you said, 2 non-licensed staff members.
Okay.
And, this is the best part, an external evaluator to facilitate the meetings and the process. In other words, we're going to talk about these 3 things, and these 3 things only.
Yes.
And that's what the facilitator does. It keeps everybody on point. Now, the steering committee developed a plan to involve the community in the process. But, of course, the plan was already made by then.
Right.
And this was called the Core Planning Team, which reached out to 52 members. I don't know who they are. I can't find it. Who worked on the revision for the strategic plan. Now, that's critical.
Yes.
They
didn't help create it.
They didn't create it. It was the steering committee, if I'm reading this right, that created this.
Mm-hmm.
And the 52 members revised it. And this started in January of 2013. It was presented to the board on March 3rd, 2014. Now, so they make a big deal about this unified plan. Okay? So that was 5 years ago. It's now 2019.
Yep.
I have a question for District 281.
What have they done?
How are we doing? Don't you think that's kind of relevant?
Just ask them.
You spend a year planning something, don't you?
I'm sure they would say they're doing great.
I'm sure if you ask them, every school's great, every teacher's wonderful. They're the greatest school district on the face of the earth, which we know is BS. I mean, Jay, think of people you've worked with. Is everybody you worked with the greatest ever? And you went to places
close.
Right. I'm on a roll. All right, I'm on a roll.
My word.
I'm going to go crazy here. So how they're doing on this, you think would be pretty relevant. You think if you spent a year if I was at a company and they spent a year coming up with a 5-year, which companies do that, by the way. They don't involve everybody, but they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go after this business. This department we want to grow 10%. They do that all the time.
Right.
How you're doing on it might be relevant.
Yeah.
You'd think. 5 years later,
so.
I challenge anybody to go to ardale.org and tell me how we're doing on this plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to save you the trouble. You can't find anything.
I couldn't find anything. Could you find anything?
I can't find. I've spent the last 3 days researching this and some of the statistics we're going to give you here because, of course, I had to go somewhere else to find them.
Right.
Now, so why would they not do this? I mean, and I want to say something too. They have a page. I want to get what this is called here. Hang on a second. Unified District Vision 1 sheet. Okay, so if you go to this, okay, it has how they're going to measure their progress, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Okay? High school graduation. We're skipping around a little bit. Here's ensure every student graduates from high school, articulated skilled trades, and college ready. That's a pretty high standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How are we going to measure that, Jay? What does it say?
I don't know.
It says high school graduation rates.
Yeah.
Go on to ardale.org and find me their high school graduation rates.
Well,
you can't find them. You know where they are? They are at the state department's Minnesota Department of Education.
Oh.
That's where you have to go to find them. Interesting how we're going to measure this, yet on their website you can't find out how they're doing. Would that be? And I guarantee you this. I'm going to read the statistics of how they're doing on this. They're not very good. Not much progress has been made. I guarantee you if a lot of progress had been made, this would be all over the front page. But of course it's not. 2013. Now, I don't have information for 2018. I don't know why. The government's a little behind. I don't know why that information wasn't available the day after graduation. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't know what's going on. Everybody's still on vacation. Okay.
Yeah.
2013. Robbinsdale's graduation rate, Jay, what do you think it was?
2013?
Now, no peeking here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So if you get the right answer, I'll know.
63%.
Okay. It was a little higher than that.
Okay.
It was 78.1.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I have to say something about graduation rates. You can go to the Minnesota Department of Education, and it talks about how they calculate this. I'm not going to go into it. It's too much gobbledygook. But there's a lot that goes into that, how they calculate a dropout.
Yeah.
People who go on to get their GEDs, and it's a little wonky. But I suppose there's no perfect way to do it. And, you know, to me, graduation rates are one of the, I don't know how relevant that is to academic achievement. But, again, this is their own standard here from their website.
Yeah.
So 78.1%. By 2015, what do you think their graduation rate was?
75%.
Close. 77.6.
Oh.
So they went down half a percentage.
In
2017, it went way up. I mean, this is like a baseball player, you know, who hits 5 home runs a year and the next year hits 6. It went all the way to 79.4%. So in a 5-year span, 1.3% was the increase in the graduation, which is basically every year is pretty much statistically irrelevant.
Right.
I mean, if the economy grew 1.3% in 5 years, would that be considered good or bad?
Well, and let's look at this. I mean, if we're talking about, 2 high schools, we got 2 high schools in the Robbinsdale School District. What was your graduating class size?
Maybe 600.
600. Let's say
it's not that much anymore. It's like maybe 4 or 5 at Cooper.
We'll call it 5. That's easy math.
Yeah.
So if we have 500 people, both at Cooper and at Armstrong, that's 1,000 people. So if it goes up 1%, I mean, we're talking 10 students.
Yeah. 2 students a year.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah. That's fantastic.
now you weigh
Yes.
that. Let me use your math.
Okay.
So that means 790 graduated,
Yeah.
10 more than 5 years earlier. That still means 210 didn't.
Right.
Now, so I'm going to say they're not hitting the mark on that. I'm just going to throw that out there that maybe they're not. Here's another one. Third grade reading proficiency. Provide differentiated learning experiences to ensure all third grade students achieve grade level literacy. The measurements are the MCAs. Jay, we all know what that is. That's Minnesota's standard testing.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. You want to know how effed up our education system is? I can't find any information anywhere about Robbinsdale's third grade testing. I can't find it at the state. I can't find it on their website. I can't find it buried in the ground anywhere. I can't find it anywhere.
You know, it's funny how we talk about how important accountability is. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, accountability. We need more accountability. We're going to be the most accountable ever. But it's still, when it comes down to the most important things that we need, whether those are the way that money is spent, whether that is graduation rates, or whether...
Pick your issue.
Pick your issue. It's buried. And we can't find those things.
Yeah, and I should... the only information I could find was at the state's website, which is where I got the graduation rates. At the... what the hell is this called? Minnesota's report card.
Yes.
Okay. And this does not separate anything. Okay. So I don't know what grade this is. You can separate this by school, I should add.
Yes.
But not by grade.
Well, why would you want to do that?
Right?
Yes.
What do you think? Now, Robbinsdale School District's math proficiency. Actually, let's do reading because that's what they focused on here. In 2016,
Okay.
reading proficiency, however you define that, in their definition,
Mm-hmm.
what percentage do you think were proficient? Now, I would imagine that's at their grade level.
Yes.
Of course, that's been dumbed down over the years, too.
I'm going to say 55%.
Okay.
Alex.
You're a little high. You'd lose the showcase.
Okay.
The price is right. It's 49.9%. So call it 50. So half the kids
One out of two kids can't read.
can't read at their level of proficiency. What do you think it was in 2018?
49.7%.
49.7 is 100% right.
Well, are you serious? Oh, look at that. I didn't look at it.
All right, I'm going to choose to believe that, but if you get the next one, I'm not going to believe it.
Okay.
So they have, let's just say they've stayed the same.
Okay.
In 2 years, no progress whatsoever
Right.
on reading proficiency. How about math? Pretty important to know some math,
Yeah.
without using your fingers and toes.
Be good.
2016, what percentage do you think were proficient in the Robbinsdale School District at math?
46.3%.
Okay, Jay, you're high again. 40.4. So 3 out of 5 were not.
Wow.
By 2018, the percentage had dropped to 38.7.
Wow.
They've added science recently.
Okay.
In 2016, once again, 42.5 were proficient. Guess what it was in 2018?
38.6.
You're high again.
What?
And I don't mean high as a kite. 37.1. It's gone down 5%.
Wow.
So any wonder why this stuff is not on their website?
But hey, let's just keep electing the same people to the school boards over and over because the union says those are the right people to send to the school board.
Well, and keep in mind too, when we talk about things like that. I mean, the school board has some power over this, but it's not like they can walk in and remember the school board is like a city council.
Yeah.
They hire the superintendent. That's the only person they hire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they can fire that person, not renew that person.
Right.
Whatever. But this is how insulated the workers are from the system.
Yeah.
That they're insulated from this by how these things are set up. So now I want to give some statewide numbers, which I would argue aren't great either.
No.
I mean,
no, they're pretty rotten.
And pretty much, I would argue very little progress has been made there. Also, the graduation rates, for example, for all students, there's over 800,000 attending public school in Minnesota, is 82.7.
82.7.
Which is only a couple points higher than Robbinsdale's.
Yeah.
So you think about it, that's still more than 1 out of 6
Yeah.
aren't getting a high school diploma. And not getting it when they're supposed to, which means they're behind in everything else. I mean, you don't get a high school diploma. I mean, you don't have a chance out there.
Mm-hmm.
The world's just too competitive. The proficiency numbers are much better. Math, 2016, 60.1%. 2018, 57.7%. Science, 55.5% in 2016. 2018, 52.5%. Reading has basically stayed the same, 60.2 in 2016, 60.6 in 2017, and 60.4 in 2018. They've made zero progress statewide. And that's despite all the money spent on college readiness and pre-K and diversity this and choice is yours, and you name it, they spend on it.
Levy after levy after levy after levy.
Governor Walz has proposed all sorts of things in his budget for education, and that's where we sit. I mean, that's where we sit, and it's time. It's time, okay, for the district to come up with a new 5-year plan.
It is.
It's just about that time. And what do you want to bet?
Well,
It's pretty similar to this one. I can probably tell you right now, and I know we got a different superintendent, Carlos Jenkins. Wait a minute. Carlton, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Carlos Jenkins used to play for the Vikings. But my guess is the same sort of thing. Here's what I don't get either. You mentioned the 4 things, but we missed some stuff above this.
Yeah.
Robbinsdale Area Schools is committed to ensuring every student graduates career-articulated skills, trades, and college-ready, even though they don't teach any skilled trades. We believe each student has limitless possibilities, and we strive to ignite the potential in every student. We expect high performance from all students. Yeah, boy, are they being disappointed.
Yes.
We are committed to ensuring an equitable and respectful education experience for every student, family member, staff member, focusing on the strengths related to. And guess what we have coming up next?
Let me guess. Focusing on the strengths related to mathematical proficiency, literacy,
civics, history.
Understanding of history, an understanding and appreciation for the arts. I'm on the right track, right?
No, you're not on the right track.
Wait. This is a school, right? So they want to build strengths related to those things because that's what they need.
No, that's not what
that's what the future, no?
No.
What?
Their strengths that they are going to focus on are race, culture, ethnicity, home or first language, national origin, socioeconomic status, gender, sexual orientation, age, ability, religion.
But not Christianity.
No, of course not. The Christians are assumed to be the bullies. I can't see the last one.
Physical appearance.
Physical appearance. Okay. So I'm going to walk into an elementary school, and we're going to focus on sexual orientation,
Yes.
physical appearance, socioeconomic status. You know, Jay, I don't know about you, but when I went to school, when I went to elementary school, Lincoln Elementary, and you folks who graduated with me and stuff, and I've known for 35 years will contest to this. I was never aware of, I didn't know what socioeconomic status meant.
And I can tell you, as a fine graduate, if you will, of Bayview Elementary, up in the Proctor district, that I also had no idea what that meant.
I mean, what are kids? Are kids little guinea pigs for
Yes.
socioeconomic status?
This is all social engineering crap. All of it.
Age?
I
They're
mean-
all in school. What do you got to focus on their age for?
It's like you're all in the same grade together. You're the same age, except for the doofus that failed twice.
Yeah, the guy had the 7-year high school plan. I mean, national origin? I don't even know what that means.
That means, what country did you come from?
Well,
What's your nationality?
I came from here, but my ancestors didn't.
Right, but
Was my national origin Germany?
No, well, who knows?
5th generation American on my mom's side.
Yeah.
7th on my dad's side. I don't know what that makes me.
I don't know what that means.
Ability. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to focus on their ability. Wait, we want to make everything equitable. Nobody can be better than anybody
And
else.
gender, not male or female. It's
No,
all of these. Yeah, it's not your sex. It's your gender.
Right.
Not,
So
not
whatever
your
you-
biological.
Whatever you
yeah.
identify as. If you don't want
Right.
to, if you have a Wiener Schnitzel and you don't think you have one,
I wanna be
you
a
can
shiny
identify
unicorn.
as something else.
Yes.
We're gonna have Klinger from MASH running around at every show, every school. That's what we're gonna have.
Oh,
you know, so
boy.
or the Crocodile Dundee. Remember the scene where the drag we called it a drag queen then.
That's,
You
I
call
think, what
it
they
a-
still call it.
Oh, I thought it was a female impersonator.
Is
So-
that that actually is very PC of you, Andrew?
Is it really?
Yeah,
See, now we
I
call
don't
it-
think even they've gone that far.
Yeah, but you know,
Wow.
you remember
Paul
Paul Hogan made a certain
Yeah.
figured it out. Let's put it that way. So, but I mean, what is with these? I mean, you know, religion. I mean, we're told in schools we can't say Christmas, we can't say Easter, we can't. You know,
No, but you can go pray twice a day in your little closet thing if you're, you
can.
Muslim. And
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I
Physical
remember,
appearance.
again, when I was teaching at the same school, I remember that when it was Ramadan, they had a whole thing teaching the whole school about what Ramadan was. And
When Yom Kippur came around, did the Jewish kids get all that?
no,
I didn't think so.
no.
The only thing they know about Yom Kippur was Sandy Koufax didn't pitch. That's the only thing they know. Okay, now, so I mean, we're taking kids, and it's so. Adults have a choice, Jay, what they do. Kids don't. You know,
Yeah.
kids are not guinea pigs for social experiments.
No.
They are not props to bring in front of a legislative committee or something like that.
Right.
The idea that you're going to take elementary school kids, I mean, I have to assume this is going on everywhere. I can't assume this is only look, there's nothing wrong in high school with having discussions and, like we talked about earlier,
And
in the
treating
right setting.
people with respect.
Right. And
Being
respecting
kind to people.
people's First Amendment rights.
Nobody should be bullied.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely unequivocally should not happen. But again, certain people to me are assumed to be the bullies.
Right.
And the idea that you are injecting this stuff, you are causing division.
Yes.
You are separating
Agreed.
people by putting this
I
stuff
mean,
in.
you're allowing people sometimes to live in a fairy tale because you don't want to offend them. I'm sorry, I'm not a man. I am a fill in the blank, whatever it is. Boeing 747.
Yeah,
no,
and-
you're not a Boeing 747. You are a male. You have the biological parts to be a male. You're a male.
Yeah, and let's not forget too that teenagers, it can be a tough time for some, especially the ones that don't have a ton of direction at home. I mean,
Right.
It can be an impressionable time, a confusing time. a lost time. You don't fit in. I mean, it can be, and to add all this stuff on top of it is almost. I mean, it's almost. I'd rather send them to Dr. Phil. Let's have Dr. Phil go in there and work on this rather. I mean, here's the thing too. I hate to say this too, but there's going to be. Actually, I don't hate to say this because this is the truth. There's going to be a day where the public school system collapses under its own weight. Technology is going to break the barrier, just like it has. Jay, we had the show with Bob Davis on, and we were on his show, and a lot of the subject matter was about how, look, public schools someday are going to be AM radio. They're going to be 8 tracks someday.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something. How many kids are going to get lost in translation, get lost in that transition, lose the opportunity? At some point, podcasts are going to be where kids are going to learn on YouTube. They're going to learn in virtual classrooms.
Yeah.
We're going in that direction already.
Absolutely.
Look at colleges. I mean, when my wife got a nursing degree, half of her nursing, she had to go do her lab work and all that.
Yeah.
But like half of her nursing degree was online.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're going. I mean, I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah.
And public schools are not going to be able to hold this back.
Mm-hmm.
But how many kids? How long? They're going to go down fighting. So how long is this going to take? Now imagine if we didn't have to spend taxpayer dollars building buildings and busing kids and all this. I mean, imagine nobody'd get picked on, nobody'd get bullied because they're all in front of their computer learning.
Right.
And that's not to say they would never interact. I mean, that's not good either.
No, I mean, but that's why you have,
with
sports, you have social clubs and of different kinds. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's where we're going.
Should
be. We're going to go there eventually.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, are you and I going to see it, or
I think
it's going to go down in flames?
I think it's good. They're going to fight it tooth and nail though, because it's government, and
it's too much power at stake.
Yeah, exactly. And with government, something can be broken, and they will try to fix it till it can't be fixed no more. And
they'll break it again and again and again and again.
Exactly. That's what they're actually doing. And it's not until enough people get upset and decide we're doing this, and they come up with an idea that can't be denied, and that's when the change happens. But the government will get its fingers in that and try to ruin that too.
Probably. But I think that I'll take that chance over what's going on right now. And I'm going to tell you something. The second that middle-class families, every middle-class family has that option, they're going to take it every single time.
Absolutely.
They just are, period. So
Absolutely.
That's where we're heading, folks. Oh, is that enough bad news for one? I don't think we're going to get a Christmas present from District 281.
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. They won't be calling us up this year. Not that they have any year, but and that's the thing. I mean, there's over 800 school districts in Minnesota.
300.
Over 300.
Not to mention the charter schools, the private schools.
Absolutely.
A lot of them have the same standards.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a lot of places where you guys can fit in. We need people, just like we do in cities and like we do in counties, we need people that are willing to stand up and care enough about their kids and the kids in your community, if your kids are grown up, to run for a school board position, to get on some of the committees that the school boards have. They have advisory committees and commissions, PTAs, divestiture committees, curriculum committees. There are a number of places where you can fit in and have a say. Entry-level governing, where you can get in and make a difference right away. And then you like it, you run for school board, and this is where you get to begin to make changes. The system is broken, and it's not going to be fixed until we do it completely differently, till we start to come up with some revolutionary ideas to do school in a completely different way than we do it today. But that starts with you guys getting involved in your communities. That's the only way to do this. So I just ask that you guys go and look at your individual school districts. Look at what's going on. How many times have they raised taxes in the last 10 years? What kinds of policies are they putting out there? What are their scores like? What are their graduation rates like? It's up to you to find all this stuff out and then do something about it. You want to let us know what's going on in your community? You want help getting on a commission? You want help running for school board? Let us know. That's what we're here for. Get a hold of us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we will be more than happy to help walk you through the process and get you going all the way through winning an election. It can be done. This is all part of Team 20K, so we got to make it happen, guys. The only way to do that is to get in the game, to take that first step and begin to change what's going on. And it starts with you changing your life and getting involved. So hopefully you'll share this with everybody you know, because we need 20,000 people statewide. And schools are just a part of that, but they're a big part. So we're going to go away for another week. We're going to get some more information for you. We're going to come back with an incredible podcast after this one. I can already feel it. So, we've done our part, Minnesota, and we love you.